I've got two more people to join and then we'll get into Patrick Prize. Ganzamungu Zihinduala, would you love to join me on the stage, please? So, in the very first Creative Brain Week or second Creative Brain Week, Ganza appeared. And do you want to use lecture or would you use? Yeah, you have slides, I think. So you will need this. Okay, and I will need that. Because otherwise my phone will go off and it will be my mum. And you don't want to talk to my mum. So I'm going to stay here and I'm going to invite you to really, you explain. Explain where you are and how we got here.
Yeah. So I've been at all the 5. This is my 5th Creative Brain Week. So I think I also deserve a prize.
Yeah, okay.
Somehow. I missed none. And the last time I attended the one which we discussed about issues of visa inequity, which has been really one of the challenging situations from us who come from the global south. And I'm so, like a previous speaker said, privileged that it didn't hinder me from getting here. And I don't know what to talk about what I've learned through this process of being in the fellowship. But one thing I know is that, you know, when you're in school, you have a dream A. And when you come into the work industry, that dream has changed totally. So after my master's degree, I was having a dream to say that I want to sit and one day be a PI for some interventions. And the whole dream was, I want to sit and design an RCT personally. You know, that big dream, and I was like, this could be a big achievement for me.
RCT, randomized controlled trial.
Yeah, because my work then, 6 years I worked for the UK MRC, and I think a lot of their work funded by PEPFAR then was really focused on HIV/TB programs in South Africa. And I was a technical person at the rural clinic programs. So I was like, whenever I see a new PI coming, I'll be like this, man. And then Creative Brain Week comes, just totally changed what I was dreaming of becoming. I'm no longer there. I don't even think of being there anymore. I'm literally looking at another way. It's like there was a macroscopy that I needed. And now this has come like a microscopy. And like, you shouldn't just think of that. You should think of something that can be done practically without going to sit in a bed of a doctor alone. But you can do more to ensure that you bring change, transformation to the people. And now last year, because I have to skip a lot since I think I've been in more than 15 or 16 collaborative programs with the fellows. So which means I think I've met more fellows than I would have expected or projected even using any formula that can exist. Because I would have thought of 5 or 10 fellows to collaborate with. But I found myself really being dragged between programs. And perhaps one of the beauty of public health, because I found myself closely fitting in every aspect of the work that fellows do. But if Dominique was to ask me a question that, then what has been your benefit of this program? And before I really mention it, I can literally say that I'm one of the people with lived experience as a forced migrant. And what this has done is it hasn't done only science publication and a lot of other things that we celebrate as scientists, but it has allowed me to go back to my community and implement everything that we gain here from conversation to presentation. So last year when we left here, there were a lot of things that we intended to achieve. And everyone, whenever we come here, obviously, meeting people, talking to people. And I never knew that connecting with people is also an outcome.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So it was an achievement for us being here alone. It was a good outcome. I've never done M&E very much, but I think it's part of the outcome that we can also document and say, I'm harvesting some of the outcome of my life for the whole year. And then comes Dominic, gives me a hard task to say, talk to us from the last year to now. I think you had to really ask me that question for me to think, by the way, what was I doing last year? I hope someone has also been there. Because we get carried away by a lot of things, plenty stuff. Even thinking of the topics that have been used to name every Creative Brain Week, I was like, when did we talk about this other topic? Then like, do they matter? Yes, they do. because they drag us back to those events and we start remembering, oh, that was the talk about this and that. And I don't want to waste much of the time. I really want to take you through what I've been doing because that was my key question, what I've been doing. So the first quarter of last year, I love my country. I'm from Congo, the DRC, and it's at war. And today I was asked by one of the Atlantic Fellow people or leadership that, how do you feel when you go back to Congo in the wartime? I'm like, because my dad is there, and whenever I'm there, I feel like other people still there. The only difference between them and I is because they are now normalizing war every day. For me, it's still like fearful to spend a night there. But what keeps me going is I see my family. And you know that connectedness to your land, to your ground, to your soil, to your water, to your neighbors, keeps you going. But the next morning when you hear bombing, you're like, I'd rather go where there's no bombing a bit. So I've been there. I have an organization, a Trasit, which really works in the rural community. I hope that is why Dominique literally loves writing next to my name, Healthy Rural Society. I love promoting health in rural areas because for me, in Africa, rurality is a synonym of poverty. So, and these people need our work more than anyone will do. That's my belief. That is my concept. That's what I've been seeing practically, not read in a theoretical paper. And of course, when I'm home, I still contribute to my community. I teach at the university because I feel like I don't have resources in cash to give. But if I go to the university and teach, which is one thing I enjoy doing, and when you finish teaching, you don't even need to be paid because you're feeling like I need to contribute to my community. Somehow I need that money, but I feel like what will I give back to my community if I can just teach for free and go? And I feel like at least I will know that I've contributed to my community. The joy, the feeling of fulfillment is when you do something like that in my area of work. Then the second quarter of that year, I was here, which was between second and third because I came earlier before. I think last year we had this convening in June, right? Yeah. So, and before then, I started consulting, and I don't know how this happens. Like Archie said, Dominic will just connect you to people. Thank you so much, Dominic. Yeah, I acknowledge that deep down. So Dominic connected me to a bunch. I don't even know how many, maybe 100. But of them, some of them called me to be a consultant. Guys, I've never worked in an immigration office. I was in school, health science. But they're like, we know, we understand you have an experience. You've been traveling. You want to consult with our school, help students to get visa. And I'm like, are you paying me? Yeah. I was like, that's cool. You know, so I've been sharing that experience, and that's a consultancy. I got that call from that connect from Dominic. I don't even know what it meant until I go in. But that does not stop me from continuing my work that I've been doing. And what made me join that work was I noticed that the research that I do, the implementation science work that I do, is really talking about people who are socially excluded. And these are really majority people of migration background. And migrants are some of the people who are missing in conversation. And I start feeling, how much do we then wait until we start talking about them? Do they matter? Yes, they matter, because your data in Ireland tells us that out of every 10 people, 2 to 3 are from migrant background. So you may be sitting there, go and check, well, you might be also a migrant before you know it, if you don't remember that, perhaps. So we need to talk about those people as well. They matter in the work that we do. That's how I joined that work. But then I moved to the next quarter. We started talking about what do we know about the implication of forced migration to the brain health of the immigrant in Ireland and other parts of the world. So I've named a few of our publications and others which are in press and others that have come out. And we started talking about possibility of wanting to continue some of our grant, which we have been offered by AI then. And we were like, let's look at what the stressors of migration can do to the brain of people. And then we noticed with my colleague Fumi, who's in Australia right now, doing her PhD, and Kanyisa in South Africa, we worked on a work and another second paper with Hasina, myself, and Fumi, where we noticed that elevated amount of cortisol could really affect your brain health negatively. And these are mostly in migrant, and that was around 82% of immigrants that were in these studies. And this is a systematic review that we conducted with the fellow colleagues. Then we were like, so that means it matters that. When going to the community in practice, now you're talking to them, you say, this will put you at higher exposure or risk of developing dementia early. This will put you at the risk of having cognitive function decline early. Their responses are that, we have people like that. Like, yeah, so what do you think about them? I swear to God, the only responses from majority of my community is, we believe they've been bewitched. And I was like, why don't we start a conversation then? Because we can destigmatize things theoretically. I strongly believe from an old school way, how do I go there and talk to them in person? Share their experience, especially that I'm one of those who have lived experiences. So then we moved on. Again, Dominic sends me something. Yeah, it's just you all the time. So we had our tea and coffee with Dominic, and I'm like, okay, I just walked across my office from Trinity then. And then like, oh yeah, there is something called Migrant Leadership Academy in Ireland. I was like, yeah. I applied, I don't know what it was. Until I got in, I was like, this is what I wanted. Got in, started the workshop, trainings. I graduated as a Migrant Leadership Academy in Ireland, and eventually, these people were like, do you want to do a project with us? I was like, yeah. They connected me to a grant, which I applied for. It's like a consultancy grant, which I'm working on today until 2027. And it just has to do a lot with what I'm identifying with, how to implement trauma-informed programs at institutions in Ireland. And we're doing it in schools. But I was training healthcare workers on trauma-informed care implementation at hospitals. So it connects easy. And again, this gathering, the benefits, the opportunity, the things that we come across, for me, I don't take them for granted. And then that same period, Q4, I really also celebrated the launch of our book in Trinity College, in which I contributed a chapter on recognizing the needs of immigrants when they access healthcare services in Ireland. And one of the reasons is because Ireland is becoming diversified, and I think achieving inclusion in the middle of diversity is not an easy call. It could be challenging when we talk about cultural competency, and I always say that's not an easy word in healthcare. It requires a lot. How many cultures do you have to master to provide healthcare accordingly to a person? Or could it work otherwise, to rather perhaps consider or think about employing people from different cultures so that they can play that role instead of you going for trainings every day to learn about Zambian culture, then tomorrow Nigerian culture, then after tomorrow Brazilian culture. It may be a whole lot of work to do. So that book has been published. We got it out recently with my colleagues at Trinity College, and it was a success for me again. And most of those fellows, again, we just met right here in this places like this. And December to now, then, I continue with consulting on ICI, funded project, and I think we're doing very well with them. And one of the other achievements that I'm really proud of is because one of my SCI grants, thank you so much to Tekano, they funded me as last 2 years, and I have decided to spend that funding on training champions of mental health and psychosocial support program for socially excluded people in South Africa. And I'm so grateful that that was funded and I implemented it, and today we can call it a completed project. Now, I'm closing in 1 minute to say, what does all this mean then anyway? We published, we write, we do things. My question is then, so what? So as a person from such background and someone who works and lives and goes to church with these people and who spends time with these people, one of the key things that I really believe in is that we want to think of leading change for this population. And this change should be really translated in community-led interventions, so which could be also practical. And if we can do that, then to me it still feels like I haven't done much for the refugee community across Europe and Ireland. And also, this intervention, we believe strongly that they should be co-designed by them. They should be co-led, implemented by them, so that we understand that they are part of the intervention and they do the work that can help them to age in grace and healthy. Because brain health is really, for us, more about aging in grace, as someone has mentioned earlier than I could say. Then we're also promoting this interdisciplinarity at the community level. We want also the community to understand that my skill, your skill, and their skill matter into applying expressive art therapy, because these are free resources that the community have. What we may need at the community level, how do we coordinate this and channel them to the benefit of these people, that they don't lose this opportunity? My last point is I'm preparing for an activity this 28th of March. It's going to take place at, for those who live in Ireland, it's in Blanchardstown. It's in the Crown Plaza Hotel. And this activity is just a launch together with immigrants in Ireland. I don't want to talk a lot about their story. We know their situation. But I felt like, why do I not come together with them? So they share their lived experiences. We talk to practitioners in the place. We talk to leaders of the communities and see what we can do together. And if we are able to do this, I believe that there could be a continued conversation between us and them to ensure that this is no longer a stigmatized condition, but they take brain health as a component of their day-to-day. How do they take care of their brain, that they age healthy and in grace? I don't have resource for this project. I'm just ambitious. I'm ambitious like my radio station that you see there. I went to AI 2 years back. I said, give me a radio station that I can station it in Congo and make sure I talk to people who are in war, how they live a healthy life amid war. I'm still ambitious. 3 years down, I'm continuing to push. Someone will give me funding for that radio station to help the people in the country at war and conflict. I believe in that strongly. But this is my last slide. If you are willing to support my campaign with the refugee next 2 weeks at the Crown Plaza Hotel, please, I beg you, we just need 1,300 to make this a reality. We will have to sit with them. Or if you can go there and pay a venue for us, don't give us money. We don't need really the money. We need support to just get the launch and the venue and bring all these immigrants and refugees together and start to talk to them how they can ensure that their brain is healthy as they age. There's the QR code if you want to support, and I will use a word, maybe you're not a Christian, forgive me, but I'll say God bless you as you do that. Thank you.